This program has been made possible by a grant from the UCF Office of Research and Commercialization.
The UCF Office of Research and Commercialization is committed to moving the discoveries of our faculty and students from ideas to innovation to realization. By moving research from the laboratory to the private sector, we are helping to diversify Florida's economy and helping to bring high-paying jobs to our state. This program presents some examples of our research and our efforts to transition this research to the private sector.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on Zenith. I'm Ed Highland. And our program today will highlight research on several scientific fronts, including the latest on nanotechnology, what the tiniest of particles might mean to your health, our environment, and making things like engines work even better. We'll also get the latest research on a study to find a better way to fight weight gain as we age. Something for everyone. It's coming up on Zenith.
The University of Central Florida Technology Incubator, cultivating success through creative ideas, performance, and partnerships.
Because there's a lot of people doing a lot of work every day, and that's what everybody brings together. So it wouldn't be successful without the partnerships.
The UCF Technology Incubator is a university-driven community partnership providing early-stage technology companies with the enabling tools, training, and infrastructure to create financially stable, high-growth enterprises. With locations in the Central Florida Research Park, adjacent to the UCF campus in East Orlando and in downtown Orlando, the UCF-TI is home to over 50 new and innovative high-tech companies. That's up from 12 companies when the incubator opened its doors in 1999. The incubator has created hundreds of high-paying jobs in Central Florida with an average annual salary of $59,000. Our clients include SiloQuest produces process consumables used in the manufacturing of integrated circuits. The company's technology was developed in partnership with the University of Central Florida Center for Research and Education in Optics and Lasers, otherwise known as Creole. The UCF Technology Incubator, promoting optimal corporate growth and making a significant contribution to the economic development of the region's high technology sector.
It's no secret, as we age, it gets a little harder to keep off the extra pounds. Research involving postmenopausal women is underway at the University of Central Florida, and it's showing the simplest forms of exercise may be all that's needed to rev up the metabolism. With the push of a button, Jerry puts her weight loss program into gear.
I've been overweight for many years, and it's something that at my age I realized that if I don't do something about it now, I never will, and it will affect my health permanently.
Jerry is getting help in the form of a University of Central Florida research project that could offer insights into weight loss for thousands of women just like her.
Yes, and particularly for postmenopausal women, because it's in about the first 10 years after she becomes postmenopausal that her risk for cardiovascular disease really increases. Being overweight is a major risk for heart disease. It also is a major risk for things like diabetes, which then is a major risk for heart disease.
On the treadmill beside Jerry is program veteran Joyce Smith.
You know, I was had been creeping up for a number of years. I'd never gone up and down in weight a lot, but I was over 200 now, and I really did not like that.
Both ladies are setting the pace for a comparison of center versus home-based weight loss programs.
When the women come in, they are randomized to one of two groups. One group is the center group, and they come in once a week to meet with us in a class session, and they come in 3 times a week to exercise on the treadmills. The other group that women get randomized to is what we call the home group, and they do the same program at home. Being at home doesn't mean not supervised, because we call them once a week to talk about whatever the lesson is for that week. They use the same manual that the women in the center do. They have the same books. They have the same sessions in the same order that the women in the center do.
The benefits quickly became obvious to Jerry.
When I first started and I found out I had to walk on a treadmill for 50 minutes and I knew I couldn't walk around the block twice, that was very intimidating. And I was surprised at how quickly my stamina and my energy did pick up. And I feel 10 years younger. My stamina has increased tremendously. I was sharing with some friends yesterday that I actually saw an ad in the paper for a 5K walk run, and I thought, oh, you know, I think I can do that. And that was exciting to realize that I do think of myself as a person who gets exercise and can get out and be active.
It's a 2-year program which includes regular tests for blood pressure and cholesterol.
I noticed that I enjoyed walking. I've always liked walking, but I enjoyed the measured pace and the ability to see the difference, to see what my heart rate was doing, to see that I could do the exercise, and I could actually notice after just half a year, I noticed a significant drop in my cholesterol.
Joyce has now advanced to setting her own workout schedule.
The weight went down regularly, 1 to 2 pounds a week. There was just a regular decrease, and that was so fun. I remember when I got under 190, they encourage us to give ourselves rewards when we make certain milestones, and that was a milestone for me. And I had bought myself a CD that I wanted to listen to, and I took it out and gave it to my husband. I said, no, you give it to me when I tell you I'm under 190. And he did, and so that's been my inspiration to keep going. And now I've gotten down another 30 pounds beyond that. So it's really exciting.
Both groups, I can tell you, are doing very well.
Yep.
We do not have a group that does not lose weight.
One little ring. I don't think this is for me. It's very time consuming.
The research is being underwritten by a 5-year, $2 million grant from the National Institute of Nursing Research at the National Institutes of Health. Well, still to come, what's big about being small? The promise of nanotechnology. That's next on Zenith. We're speaking today with Dr. Sidipta Seal, a professor of engineering at the University of Central Florida and also heavily involved in the Nanotechnology Center. Dr. Seal, thank you so much for joining us today and allowing us to come into your lab here a little bit. And of course, we're going to talk about nanotechnology. It's something you hear the word tossed around more and more these days. Let's get to the basics first and just give us an explanation, if you will, of nanotechnology, what it means, and then we'll branch into what you're doing with it.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. As you said, the word has been tossed around, and similarly nanotechnology, if you sprinkle the powders here, is going to toss around the whole room. Good or bad, I don't know, but definitely there is a lot of hype and the facts which is coming in place. It's a matter in a very small dimension, and when it goes to the point, you get some unusual properties that you may not see it. For example, you make sensors to detect gases, which can be a threat to, terrorist type attacks and all those things. So it can create certain detection techniques which can be very efficient to give you an early advance. And as you know, the market for nanotechnology is growing heavily, and one of the areas is cosmetics, where we have been using nanotechnology for a long time. And the forecast by the National Science Foundation Nanotechnology Initiative, the market is going to hit almost $1 trillion industry by 2010 to 15. So we are quite close to making a lot of products. Now, nano has been there for a long time. Physics and chemists has been doing this for a while. But I think to get into the application where we are kind of coming in to give the reality, what is there has been in the books or the papers, to real prototypes and the products. And I think this will really impact our civilization and the human lives in a very profound way.
Now, this is something that we're really just at the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes, from what I've read of your research and seen, we don't often know how nanotechnology will affect a substance or a material. We have to find that out.
That is correct. I think, well, as a material scientist, we have been working on materials, many sizes and shapes. And as we go down to the length scale, to making smaller and smaller size, of course, not only you miniaturize that, but you kind of manipulate the properties that you like to have. And that, for example, nanoparticles for drug delivery. So initially, if the drugs are heavy molecules, it may not cross the blood-brain barrier layer, but using nanoparticles which can cross it and that can deliver your drugs to the sites which finally will cure you. Not only that, in terms of material science or catalysis, nanotechnology-based pens or coatings can be good for harnessing energy when energy is a big problem these days. And that's what we have been hoping, that using these small fine structures which will create applications that can be used in day-to-day life. And one of the prime example is anti-fogging windows. For Ford has been putting on that car shield so that when the water is going to come on top of the window, you can still see through. So it will wet the surface of the window very, very well. And these are some of the nanomaterials work which has been made as a coating and has been applied in the automotive industry. The other thing to talk about is nano car wax these days. You can probably have scratches and other things which can be easily wiped out. So you can see the commercial applications which is trickling down to the people that can easily see and understand the enormity of the vast importance of this field by looking at simple application. And I think that's why the nanotechnology is going to make a certain impact.
We have seen, as you mentioned, some initial steps that are being taken with the nanotechnology. And if we could take the next step and get an idea of where we might go in the future, is there some type of a progression that's natural, or are we kind of feeling our way along here?
Well, one of the areas of nanoscience people are certainly looking at biological applications, and we as human beings are a perfect example of the building blocks of little tiny DNAs, which is nothing but in nanometer size dimension. And what Mother Nature has been mimicking for a long, long time, for billions of years, we as humans, the society, are trying to mimic currently. So we are trying to really look at how nanotechnology can shape our life in a way that Mother Nature has been doing that, and yet can make it more simpler. So I would say that nanobiotechnology, nanomaterials, nanosensors, nanomaterials for energy harvestation, I think these are some of the important areas that currently we are facing challenges, can have a profound impact.
I think some people have maybe a preconceived idea that when you talk about nanotechnology, you're talking about taking something that exists and making it smaller. And in essence, you're talking about a separate material, if you will, right, that will alter the material itself and change its properties.
If you really look at, let me take this example. If you look at the Legos that the kids play with, you just, for an example, I have a baby around 6 to 7 months old. You just give her the little building blocks, and you start to see at different times the baby is going to make different shape or size. So in her brain, they are trying to assemble in a different way to give different looks. So what is important in nanotechnology is that we are trying to gather the pieces and trying to manipulate them the way I like to see it. For instance, for nanosensors for the application of the space industries, where they have to detect any gas leak, otherwise the shuttle or rocket is going to be scrubbed. And how do you manipulate that surface of the sensor so that I can have detection which can give you early enough advanced notification? So here what you are coming in to manipulate that surface of the material in a nanoscale, and a nanoscale it's probably more easier to do that, and yet very small. So that's why I think nanotechnology will be very, very important, and really it is not a hype. In my view, it's actually a fact.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing currently, and in particular we can explain some of the equipment that's here behind us. As we look around here, we're talking a little bit about plasma nano manufacturing, and give us an idea of exactly where you're going with this.
You know, in two sentences, my group is really working on functional nanostructures, primarily oxides or metal oxides, to create a whole variety of things. One is the application of nanosensors, or nano additives for better combustion, or nanomaterials with different surfaces to have a lot of nice biological applications, starting from neuronal protection to tissue regeneration. In this particular lab, what we are doing is we are using plasma technology to create high impact toughness material with quite a bit strength using nanotechnology. This lab was funded by Defense University Research Instrumentation Program, a wing of DoD, and the Office of Naval Research, who's funded this work, to create free-form shape materials which will have very high strength. Can be an armor, or can be a structural material for bridges, or can be a structural material for any kind of material which can withstand a lot of load. And there's a lot of advantages to using nanomaterials. So from there, using this laboratory, we are taking these fine little particles, which is almost 40 to 30 nanometer in size, and making shapes of height of 1 inch. So you're making large shapes out of this nanostructure. And why plasma? Because when people think about plasma, they think about the temperature surface of the sun. And yet you can make these structures. Wow. We have ways to manipulate that heat transfer in the flame so that the material will still retain its property. We are creating structures not only for high toughness materials, but also coatings for catalytic degradation, which can, of different gases, which can reduce the environmental pollution. We're also creating structures for scaffolding, for cellular growth, for biomedical implants. So the application of this whole facility is huge and enormous, and we are really looking at the new areas of science. Most of the time this lab or this facility in anywhere in the country has been used to create coatings which goes into your turbine blades or your engines, which makes you fly, or turbines which gives you the power. But we are taking it one step further to use nanostructures, and how can you make very quickly and very cost-effective way large products, and yet it has much better property. At the same time, it will have much lesser cost. We also have a unique partnership going on with Siemens Westinghouse through the I-4 corridor funding and the Siemens funding with other faculties like Dr. Yang Oshan in the campus. Siemens has been utilizing our laboratory actually half-time, and also giving us research funding matched by the state, so that we can do unique areas of the science that may not be possible in a company type setting. So we have a win-win partnership going on also with this lab, and I believe this particular lab, with all the bells and whistles that we have, maybe one of the best lab in the southeastern United States. And I'd like to thank Department of the Defense Program to fund this thing, Office of Naval Research, UCF to support, and definitely Office of Technology and Commercialization, Tom O'Neill, to give this space for us so that we can make our dreams come true.
Now, Siemens probably best known in this area, especially for its power generation.
Right,
Is
exactly.
turbine work?
That Siemens is working in turbine work, and not only that, they are also hiring a lot of our students they're giving interns, they're giving jobs, the students are getting paid. So we're also educating the next generation task force. And the one beautiful thing with the students in this lab is they get hands-on experience on the machines and also work with the Siemens engineers one-to-one basis. So I think this is the best education they can have beyond their classroom. And so many good stories to tell here, people who are working here getting jobs and interns, and that we all should be proud of.
We're getting close to the time for the interview to end, but I did want to take just a moment or two to put in a plug, if you will, for the REU program, which I know you've been involved in for several years now, and bringing students into the process and really giving them a leg up on the competition in the world out there before they make their own career moves.
Well, REU program has been very successful, and it comes from all over the country. Now we have added an international component from Poland. We are sending students to Poland. The students are coming here, and the research they do is phenomenal with the faculties. And based on the research, there's a lot of funding has come through UCF. So not only we are training them, but based on their work, we as faculty are also gaining a lot of our research data, which will eventually lead to funding. And I think everybody likes that.
Getting a chance to get the experience, but also perhaps to put in some I'll call them new ideas, some ideas that perhaps hadn't been thought of by the establishment?
Yeah, I think this is like a 10-week boot camp. And in fact, in a 10-week boot camp, there are so many new ideas comes up from the research, and that kind of keeps us going. And so it's an experience both not only for undergraduates, but for our students and the faculty itself. So we are still learning, but this is one of the really good program that UCF has, which is funded by National Science Foundation and a support from University of Central Florida. And they can get on to hands-on experience of any equipments in the campus, which normally in top school you'll not be able to do that.
And they take this education they've learned back to their own institutions. Absolutely. And spread it even further.
And not only that, most of them has choose to go to higher education career. So we are enticing them to come to graduate program of the United States.
Dr. Sudipta Seal, thank you so much for allowing us to come in and join you in your lab today and learn a little bit more about the big things that are going on in the very small world of nanotechnology. Stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break.
This is a great advantage for looking at persons with head trauma. And what this has done is it has a face recognition pattern on here that's looking at his eyes, and it's capturing his eyes. And we see his eye here, and basically what we see are two crosshairs. You see the white crosshair and you see a black crosshair. And the white crosshair is actually monitoring the center of the pupil. We're capable of putting this cap onto his head, still get very good conductance, and be able to have him walk around the environment. What this device will tell us is the temporal activation, which area is lighting up in sequence, in time, so I can understand whether or not it's a pattern effect, is it a processing effect from moving the data information to other sequencing processors, or is it just that that data area is totally not functional? Can we figure out a bypass for that?
The goal of research is to better understand our world. Our goal is to be a window to that world. The program is Zenith. I'm Ed Highland. We'll see you next time.